9 months ago we bought a fish tank for £100. Bargain. And since then we bought more gravel, sand, rocks, wood, plants, fish, heaters, air stones, filters and test kits than we thought existed. And somehow we've convinced ourselves that spending serious money on tree roots is perfectly normal behaviour. Welcome to fish keeping. Starts with one tank, then another, and then you're stood in an aquatic shop staring at a pleco and wondering if your family really needs food this week. I'm Steve, but everybody knows me as Ess Jay. 2 months ago I ordered our second aquarium. It's a 6 foot by 2 foot by 2.5 foot custom built monster. It's yet to arrive, but this channel will be about it arriving, me setting it up, aquascaping it and stocking it with fish. But before that, here's a brief catch up of our 9-month adventure so far. It's of what we learnt, how we came to do it by trial and error and the help of a few YouTube videos along the way. Welcome to the very first episode of Tanked Again with Ess Jay Aquatics. As I said, our aquarium adventure started about 9 months ago at the end of September when we bought our first tank, a second-hand Fluval Roma 240 off eBay for £100. What nobody tells you is the tank is the cheap bit, that's the bait, that's the shiny little worm that's on the hook, and you think, lovely, £100, job done. At this point we were innocent, hopeful and financially vulnerable. After collecting the tank we headed to our local shop, Pier Aquatics in Wigan, and for the first ever fish shop that we had visited, we were completely spoiled. Pier Aquatics is one of the best in the country, with a huge range of fish, loads of unusual stock, and they're especially known for rare L-number plecos. But we weren't there for fish, not yet. Now, I know that this is a new channel, but please, if you're enjoying it so far,
like, subscribe, ring that bell!
We needed substrate. Although at the time we didn't know it was called substrate. To us, it was called gravel because we were still normal, non-fish people back then. Specifically, we wanted black gravel, and we also wanted to replace the horrible blue background that came with the tank, which looked like it belonged in a dentist's waiting room. And then while we were there, we spotted a cool tree root, a few rocks, and a little barrel that our daughter picked out. So obviously, all of that came home with us as well. That's how this hobby works, you see. You go in for gravel and you leave with half a forest, several boulders and a tiny little barrel that has no clear purpose other than it looks nice. We'd done our research, of course, a full 10 minutes. We knew we had to cycle the tank, whatever that meant. We'd read about the nitrogen cycle, we'd nodded confidently as we'd watched the videos and decided that it all sounded very scientific and we'd be probably fine. Which in hindsight was the first warning sign. We got home, we poured in the black gravel, we stuck on the new background and stood back to admire our masterpiece. At this stage we didn't know the word aquascape. Takashi Amano and George Farmer, well, they could have been members of a boy band for all we knew. We hadn't read any proper guides, we hadn't seen these stunning planted tanks online that looked like rainforests that had been flooded in a perfectly controlled and tasteful way. We were just making it up as we went along. We were armed with enthusiasm, a bag of gravel, and the confidence of people who absolutely should not have been left unsupervised. And then came our first mistake. We'd attached the background to the tank with sellotape. Now, while it was empty, it looked fine. And then we filled it with water. And suddenly, it looked dreadful. It didn't cling to the glass at all. The colours vanished. Everything looked washed out, and what had once been a peaceful underwater scene now looked duller than beige wallpaper. So only hours after filling the tank for the very first time, we had to drain it, and we had to drag the whole thing away from the wall and fix the background properly. I'm fairly sure that we used cooking oil, because apparently when you're setting up an aquarium, one of the most important pieces of specialist equipment is something that you'd normally use to fry an egg in. But somehow it did work, and we filled the tank again, we stood back once more, and this time, well, It actually looked great. So then we added the wood and the rocks, not forgetting the little barrel, and we gazed proudly at the watery kingdom that we had created. Was it aquascaping? Not really. Was it planned? Absolutely not. But was it ours? Yes. And at that moment we had no idea how expensive, obsessive and totally ridiculous this hobby was about to become.